I am like losing my voice today. Last night was a very long night. We had a pretty good time with raining on the boys from Eliminate. The steering wheel's right in the way, I'm sorry guys. If you haven't checked out the podcast, be sure to check it out because we're gonna have a bunch of new episodes with a bunch of special guests coming up very soon. So please, for today's vlog, excuse my scratchy going out voice. I'm doing everything I can to get it back. We're stopping by Sparco because we need to pick up some new seats for the Supra. I wanted to make some wheels happen before the event, but honestly, I don't want to rush it. And there's a set of wheels that I want, but the fitment's not perfect, and I don't want to rush it and get wheels that aren't 100% perfect, so I'm gonna wait on that. But we're gonna be putting some new seats in, and we are gonna go pick these up right now. Oh, ooh, so good. All right, that was a quick little pickup from Sparco. Now let's head home, unbox these things, and let's get into it.
I just opened it up and put it on the floor.
That straight up is so quiet. It's literally like a stock BRZ. That's what that sounds like, a stock BRZ. That's gotta get changed soon. It's literally, everyone keeps saying, Teach, stop asking what you should do with the Supra. Just do whatever the fuck you wanna do. And I hear that, I respect that. I like weighing out all my options. I like hearing all sides of the story. So the seats that we picked up today were actually the same seats that I looked at for the RX-7. And well, as you guys saw, we redid the seats to the RX-7 and we couldn't fit those Sparcos in the RX-7. So what better option than to throw them in the Supra? And this time I promise I will not make the mistake of throwing away these seats. The idiot TJ threw away the stock RX-7 seats, costed me money, and those are valuable and rare. Dumb mistake, I'm not gonna do that with these seats, I promise. Can we take another glance at how clean this car looks? Not only this car, but Daniel's going ham over here on the BRZ. It literally looks insane. The car in this condition makes me so happy. McGuire's also did a good detailing job on the interior. So it smells brand new. Everything is all glossy and looks all shiny, which is a good thing, but also I'm like, damn, I don't want to touch anything because I don't want to ruin it. I haven't put one of the new Hunt shift knobs in here just because this one's so classic. I was like, how can I change that? One thing I haven't addressed either is the gas light on this car is like stuck on, even though as you can see we have a full tank, the gas light is stuck on. That was the only little issue that there was with this car. Pretty minor, very easy fix. All right, let's open these puppies up and let's go over why I went with this seat and if it's worth for others out there to go with a seat like this versus redoing seats for the RX-7.
These are easily the nicest seats I've ever seen for a car. Like, these rival an OEM seat from an exotic.
This seat itself, for a pair of two, I think what each seat is individually about $3,000.
Retail price I think is $3,500 per chair. So you got about $7 grand in a pair.
That's without seat rails too.
That's without the brackets and rails. So that's another couple $100.
I have personally never gone that far with seats before. And arguably, yes, there's a lot of people out there that'll be like, TJ, that is a complete waste of money. That is a total throwaway. They're just seats, bro. And I completely understand that. And I never thought I would be someone who would buy something like this. But I have to say, for this car, I really wanted to go like full out with it. And this seat, I had to do it. I just had to do it. And just like the leather seats in the RX-7, literally the same pattern. Smells like you're sitting in a Ferrari.
Like a Lambo, yeah.
That's the weirdest thing. Daniel has been a long time viewer, and now he's out here in the shop helping us out with cars and stuff. So I think you're a pretty good person to ask. So on the vlog, I always like mention things, and every time people like see a car in person or whatever, they're like, oh, you always said that in the vlog, but now I get it. So I always say, this smells like an exotic. Daniel, please.
Just get a whiff. Yeah, it smells like an exotic. It's nice leather.
The leather is insane.
When we went to Sparco today, in the lobby, they actually had a set of Koenigsegg?
Koenigsegg and Bugatti seats.
And Bugatti, and was it?
There's one AMG. There's AMG, Bugatti, and Koenigsegg.
Those seats apparently are made by Sparco. So this is the same autoclave carbon back and everything that you would find in an exotic car. So hence the price. I mean, yes, it's a lot of money. Is it worth it? Being able to put my hands on these seats and smell them and sit in them, yes, it's absolutely worth the money.
And this is where the price comes from. Mainly, I would argue, and material costs, whatever, but the majority chunk versus this Sparco versus like the Sparco in the 350Z.
I mean, no other aftermarket seat's gonna have, you know, the pull release to let somebody in the back seat, stuff like that. Normally your typical off-the-shelf bucket seat's not gonna have that.
Oh my god.
So everything.
It's just so unnecessarily badass. And like,
they weigh nothing. I don't want to touch them, but.
And the thing is like, this isn't even like a bucket seat and a racing seat. It's a leather,
fully adjustable
seat for a car, and it weighs like a bucket seat from Sparco would. So they're just completely badass. So the seats that we're gonna be replacing are the stock Supra seats. Now, this Supra is the RZ model. Now, to my understanding, Mickey, correct me if I'm wrong, the RZ model was only available outside of the United States.
We thought the seats in the car had been replaced because they're cloth front and leather rear. But what we're told and what we've read online is that the RZ model came with cloth fronts and leather rears to lighten up the car a little bit. They realized that the car was kind of heavy and they started doing measures to lighten the car, and that was one of the things they did. It is very odd to me. We even went so far as to thinking maybe this car was special ordered like this. Maybe some of the experts out there can enlighten.
Yeah, I know there's some of you guys out there who are like way know more about the heritage of the Supra than I. If you are willing, leave a big blurb down below in the comments, maybe add some detail to what I'm saying here, but these are the seats. They're not bad. They're actually electric, which is something that I was very surprised to see in a 1993 Toyota, especially for being like their sports car. So they tried to save weight, but yet they included electric motors in the seats rather than just using rails. Kind of weird fact. Front is cloth, but the back, if you've seen, is leather. So as to why they really put cloth in the front, I don't know, but I'm sure you could dig it up somewhere on the internet. Now, I haven't done a seat test in this car yet, but to my understanding, these should go in just fine. As much as I hate taking apart seats and taking seats out, let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so to start, I've taken off the caps covering all the bolts and I've just removed them. This is super easy when you have a seat that is on rails and is electric. So to get all this out was super easy because the seat moves. Now the next thing is simply I'm just gonna move it out. I'm gonna pull the seat up, but as I move it out, I'm gonna be careful because it's electric. There is a cord that we will be connected to, and the last thing I wanna do is rip that out and damage it. We have to disconnect this clip right here and we should be all good to go. I'm surprised in how good of condition all the stuff is. It literally looks brand new. Too easy, dude. That's insane. All right, our first seat is out. Now one thing we're gonna need to do is transfer over this seat belt. So we're gonna have to take apart the plastics here. Shouldn't be too difficult, should be just one bolt. We'll transfer this over to the other seat, throw the rail on, put the seat bracket in, and wish for the best. All right, so what I've done is I've taken off the panel that looks like this on the side of the seat, and I unbolted where the clicker for the seatbelt goes. But what I'm noticing is that this actually just connected to a stud with the bolt on top of it on the side of the seat, and also this is probably the harness that tells you if you're sitting in the seat with no seatbelt on. So I'm gonna transfer all this over to the other seat, but if you look to the bracket of where the new seat will sit, this mounted onto the actual seat of the car. The Sparco seat doesn't have any attachment on the side of it, like a stud or anything where you can put this on. So what I'm probably gonna try to do, if it works, I'm actually not quite sure if it will, is I might try and attach this to here, which I think will be way too far back and too low. This is the driver's seat, and we don't have anything. Well, not too sure what we're gonna do about that because we would need the seatbelt to sit right about here. So luckily we're in check here. This bracket is for a seatbelt. There are two holes here for the original seat, but it looks like we're not gonna be utilizing this one anymore. We're gonna sit and take the side one. So when you line this up completely, there's a tab off right here, and it probably sits right about here, which should be enough clearance for us to reuse it again. So now it's just time to find a bolt and some hardware that we can utilize for the spot. So, all right, so the first thing I'm doing with the new seat is I'm attaching the rails. The rails are pretty simple and pretty self-explanatory. You have a rail on each side. Once you figure out the orientation and the way they're supposed to be designed, you're gonna slap those on. We'll connect the middle piece. Once the rails are on, we're gonna move to attaching this to the bracket that goes onto the chassis. All right, so I have the bracket for the seat on. Now it's time for the scary part, to put it in the car and try not to scratch anything.
"2,000 years later."
We just encountered another fat L. Huge disappointment. I'm crying on the inside. My body is crumbled, fell off the cliff, and I splattered on the ground. The seats fit, but the seats are too tall. No, rather, the rails are too tall. The Sparco bracket is like massive, and the stock seat rails like go to the floor, and I was a little apprehensive about it. I was like, it might not work, and the seat sits really high. Like, I could do it. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, so where I'm sitting right now isn't even where I would have it. If I was driving this car, I'd probably have the seat about like here. It's not that bad. It's higher than I think I would like. I mean, maybe I can run it. I don't fucking know. What do I want to do?
A few moments later.
This is sad. Stock seats going back in. So obviously I can modify the seat rail for the Sparcos, but to be honest, I don't want to bolt them straight to the floor and then not have the ability to adjust the seats. That's just something I'm not interested in for a car that's gonna be on the street. I'd like to have something that if someone else wants to drive, or I don't want to drive, or whatever, has the ability to do that. And yes, I probably could modify the bracket maybe and have it sit maybe an inch or so lower, but even still, it would still sit too high. And that's not something I really want to screw with, and I don't have a welder here, so that's one thing that, you know, we're still slacking on. I think for the time being, I'm gonna take another L. I'm not sure. I want to run those seats more than anything, but it may not be in the cards. It's a relatively big seat, and it's more so seen in like higher end cars like Porsches and some BMWs. I don't know, boys. It may not be in the cards. We'll have to figure something else out. And just like that, we are literally right back where we started. That right there is gonna be one of the biggest L's we have ever taken on this channel. I love those seats so much, but maybe it's just not in the cards. If any of you guys have been screaming through the screen saying, TJ, you should be running blah 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 seat, comment down below what seats do you think would look great in this Supra. I'd love to know. Maybe there's an alternative rail we can do. I'm sure there's some options out there. I'm gonna be leaning on you guys for this one. Let me know what you think is the best fit for the Supra. Whichever gets thumbs up the most, I will see. And I'm feeling